Hello everybody, this is Havoc. Welcome to my first commentary. We're going to start off with the gameplay walkthrough of the Greenskins campaign, starting right off the bat. We're going to mess with the campaign map. The campaign map, for me, gets me really excited. This looks like a huge expanse of land to go through. Of course, this is not going to be the only part of the map. This is just the map for the first part of the series. There's going to be 3 games, at least so far, not including probably any break-off DLC. 3 main games, so this is just the very first map. Part 1 map, essentially. So you have your mountains on the right. Those are mainly where the dwarves are going to be. You have your badlands to the south, which is where the greenskins are primarily going to be. You got guys up in the center, which is the Empire, as well as the vampire counts, and to the north you have your chaos, as well as your kind of Norse-esque type of guys. I think they are called Norska men. There we go. So it appears to be a huge map. You can see where the provinces are already broken up into, unless those aren't rivers. So it looks like it's already broken up, and here is where we really get our first good glimpse of the campaign map in all of its glory. Obviously these are scripted shots, but regardless, I think the detail is wonderful. It's glorious. The cultural detail that each race is going to get, I think, will be a big game changer for the Total War series. We've never had a setting where there's been such different cultures that the settlements have looked so completely different. And if let's see, we get up here, if you can see the look of the dwarven cities, the architecture built in, the bridges that span across the mountains by the settlements. I mean, this kind of detail hasn't been seen by the Total War series ever. So this is getting me really, really excited. Another really cool aspect that I like is this final kind of game campaign map flyby. You see all the different races that are currently known to be there. Of course, there will be a lot of minor factions, I'm sure. Like we saw the Border Princes and various Greenskin factions that we probably won't. That we'll have to fight against, obviously, as just the Greenskins. You have your Bretonia factions, you have your vampire counts, which from the looks of it are able to change the landscape, as you see right here. That will be very interesting. It's almost kind of comparable to like the Zerg and how they transform in StarCraft. Completely unrelated. But anyways, you really see this atmospheric change that goes on to the north. You got more magic, you got the auroras, you've got this snowy chaos, dark kind of feel, and then as it pans back into civilization, as I'm going to call it, just the whole atmosphere changes. It gets warmer, your mountains change, the atmosphere of just everything changes. It's really, really cool. Your environment changes, gets a little cleaner, and then as you go south into the Badlands, it gets a little more deserty. It's just like there was a lot of detail in Total War Attila, but I really think that they've captured that idea of detail within the campaign map with this new game. Another thing I wanted to bring up was the city management. That's another unique addition that they've brought to the Warhammer universe. The city management seems to have kind of been simplified a little bit. We're now back to the icons for the different types of buildings. That's very similar to Total War Rome 2, rather than having a whole bunch of different pictures, like almost hand-drawn-esque pictures that we've saw in Attila. I imagine this is kind of, bringing back the whole fantasy-esque style of gameplay. It has more iconography to it rather than being super detailed. Your building browser, I think, is really cool because I know it's only showing the greenskins here, but you can see the progression. You need goblins, you need giants, like they show in the video. Well, you can see the card that showcases the giants, so you know exactly what it takes to get there. And from the looks of it, obviously the greenskins are going to have very simple building styles because they're more focused on war, but that's still a really cool aspect to look at. Also, something to note is that tech works different depending on your faction. So they only mentioned the goblins, the dwarves, and the empire, but the goblins obviously are more focused on war and leveling up their military, so you only have really a military style tech tree. They said the dwarves will have your standard military and civic research, whereas the empire, and I thought this was pretty unique, is that they have to build buildings in order to unlock technology. So that really brings a different kind of gameplay to each of them. Obviously, your building types, which we haven't really seen that you need a building prerequisite to have a tech building. It's usually the other way around. So for the empire, I imagine they'll be a little slow getting off the ground, but they'll be more powerful in the late game. Dwarves will kind of be that middle ground, which is also, I don't think, is quite as standard. But the goblins, they pretty much seem focused on winning and fighting. Another cool thing is the skill trees. We've had skill trees for a while, but it hasn't really been quite so detailed as it is now. You have 3 different skills. You have campaign effects, battle effects, character stats. These 3 obviously affect different ways. Campaign is the campaign map, battles is battles, and character traits are in battles. So that's really cool. There are 30 skill levels that you can attain, which is a lot deeper than they've gone before. And then at the very top, you'll also note that these 5 are quest chains, which also, obviously there's quests. We've seen that before in previous videos, but this will also allow your heroes to toggle mounts. So obviously you have the Greenskins Werven there, which then changes how he plays in the battle, as well as how he moves around the campaign map. You see he goes after that dwarf army, he flies towards it. That's pretty cool. Another thing to note is after they resolve this battle, that battle animation, that's pretty sweet. I really enjoyed that. Moving on, we see that a goblin army has kind of gotten in a tight spot, which is apparently pretty standard for goblins. They're not too, I wouldn't say they're not too bright, they don't make the best decisions. They kind of need some leadership. Anyways, so this is a feature that we've never actually seen before. We've seen, they've talked about the underway, and it's going to be a really big game changer, I think, for the Total War Warhammer series, simply because it allows goblins and dwarves to either get out of a tight spot or set up a really cool ambush. So you could be trapped, and like this goblin army, I can slip right through and get out of that tight spot. Or I see it as a really good offensive move, because you could sneak around someone and then get up behind them, have your army, whereas before they could have retreated, you now have them completely trapped. So I think it's a good offensive defensive maneuver. Obviously any race can intercept someone who's in the underway, so that'll be something that will have to be managed. You'll have to think about where you want to go. You can't just whoop, get out of there. Another really cool feature that they brought in this, and for the greenskins only, is their fightiness. This is very similar to the morale effect that we've had in Total War Attila, but whereas morale, they'll start deserting, with the greenskins they will actually start fighting each other. So the greenskins are so focused on fighting that you will want to make sure that they are constantly going after someone. If they don't, they start infighting. You can raid to kind of bump it up, but they're really truly meant to constantly be attacking people. What's cool is that much like a horde in Total War Attila, the greenskins can hit a raid stance and they can recruit units. It takes longer, it costs more, but they will be able to recruit various units no matter where they are on the map. That is also kind of a big game changer because it allows you to be more mobile. The Greenskins are meant to be mobile. They make income when they're in that raiding stance, obviously. They're meant to be a raiding, attacking, pestering force. So that'll be really cool, so know that anywhere on the map you're not going to have to worry about not having units and not replenishing. Another thing that they have done is the exact opposite. So you have infighting if you have a low fightiness, but what happens when you have a really high fightiness level? You're able to enter the walk, which is essentially kind of like a crusade. It bolsters your units, they just get in a frenzy. But what's really cool is that in Total War Warhammer, when you hit that WOG stage, you then get a whole full stack army that accompanies you. It's another hero, and he has his own army. It is controlled by the AI, and what's really cool is that it shadows you, so it'll kind of follow close behind. I'm assuming always within a point to where it can reinforce you, so that way you're not stuck. And you can give it basic orders. They're going to have it attack Ackendorf of the Border Princes, and that army will actually do its absolute best to besiege and destroy that town. I think that's a really cool effect. I don't know if it can go across multiple armies, so I don't know if, say you had 6 armies, if they all hit WOG status, if they would each get their own full army. I have no clue. That'd be really cool and a really interesting way to play it, but we'll see, I guess, once it comes closer. Obviously this doesn't come out for another 4 months, so we'll see more as it gets closer to the release date. And then I just want to, for the last little bit, we're just gonna fly by again. I have to show this off because I just love all of the detail. You know, we saw some detail from the campaign maps, the DLC, like the Last Roman. For Total War Tilla, it really, because you were able to have the size of the full campaign map condensed into a very small region of the world. But this is detail like we haven't seen before from Creative Assembly. It just makes me really excited because this is alpha footage. This is not even what the final look will be. So just the fact that there's this much detail so early in game development means they are really, really wanting to push just as far as they can for this fantasy style world. And it just makes me really excited that they're pumping so much into it, because I love playing gorgeous, epic, monumentally looking games, and I think Creative Assembly's captured that with this fantasy world. I know a lot of people were hesitant about them moving into a different kind of genre because they've always just done historical. That's who they are. But I can't say it enough, I'm really excited just based on the campaign map. The Greenskins look like a fun faction. No doubt a lot of people will play as them. Who knows, I may even. We'll see. We'll just see once the game gets here. But I just love that the atmosphere changes, the environment changes depending on where you are. I just think it'll be a fun game to play. I'm going to spend a lot of time just looking at the campaign map, just going over all the details. You know, once I get it, it's a gorgeous looking game. I think the game mechanics they've implemented are going to be very, very good, and I think Creative Assembly will really do a good job with this fantasy style game. So that's about it, guys. I want to thank you for watching. Go ahead and hit that like button if you like my campaign walkthrough commentary. If you want, leave a comment, suggestions, whether you're really excited for this game, what you think I could have done better with the walkthrough, you know, that kind of stuff. This is my first one. I look forward to doing more. Hit that sub button, so that way you're always up to date with all my videos. Follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. Thank you guys for watching. This is Havoc, and I'm out of here. Peace!